What's going on, everybody? Welcome to GmiasWorldPodcast, and today we're going to be talking about the NFL's decision to make defensive pass interference and offensive pass interference and non-calls reviewable. Now, for those of you guys that don't understand exactly what's going on, pretty much what happens with the Saints and the Rams determined and major outrage. And a lot of Saints fans, they have a really, really big gripe. And when I saw the play happen, like most of you, I was shocked that no flag was thrown, because I thought a lot of different things happened, but it was a bang-bang play, and Lewis is garbage. Like, I don't know what you got. Like, you have to evaluate. You know, like how star players get calls? I don't think that Lewis's stature in the league as a Saint should have allowed him to get the call. I'm not saying that Coleman is like an all-star dude, but I'm just saying that I think it comes with the stature of the player. So it was very, very egregious. Like, you could see visibly that it happened, but I'm looking at it at the bar like, yo, this dude garbage. You feel me? Like, I'm like, all right, they didn't call it, but I was shocked, though. So it's not like I wasn't shocked. I saw it, and I was just like, yo, this is bad that they didn't call it, but I'm like, all right, these two guys are kind of like, you know, whatever. Like, it is what it is. Now when I look at it in this regard, and I know you guys have heard it all over because it's been released for a couple days now, and everybody is saying that, why are you making it exclusive to these calls? Because these are the most dangerous calls to utilize. And the fact that now they can do non-calls. Just think about it. Charles Woodson lost a ring with that whole Raiders team because of a horrific rule that was reviewed and overturned in New York. See, this is what people have to understand. The NFL is like this. Regardless of what's supposed to happen, usually, you know, however it's already determined, like based on the way of the mood of the game, usually that team is going to win regardless. Like with the Patriots, I don't know exactly what happened, and we know that it came from New York that, yo, listen, Al Davis died believing that they did that to really just, I don't know what the whole situation was with Al Davis and, you know, the upper echelon with the NFL, but he believes that they did that to just hurt him. It was clearly a fumble by Tom Brady. So even with this, my whole thought process is this. It's still not foolproof because somebody still reviewed that play and got it wrong and gave us some revelation of the tuck rule, which prior to that, I've never heard. So all that means is that we're going to still be able to see these people review stuff and still get it wrong. So I don't agree with the rule change simply because of that. Now, once everything plays out, because this is supposed to happen for 1 year, all right? Once it plays out, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to explain something to you guys. So, you know, because basically in the last 2 minutes, it comes from the booth, but the coaches still, I believe, have like their 2 challenges with a chance at a third. All that stuff remains the same. So you can pretty much hold your challenges until the end of the game and then just look for any corner or receiver to push off or whatever. And all of these calls are going to be reviewable. Look what's going to happen. People are going to still make the wrong call because you still have human beings out there on both sides. You have human beings that have error on the field, and you have people that review it that are human beings. And I just gave you an example of something that should not have gone that way. The Patriots should not have won that Super Bowl, but it happened, right? And they were able to see it in slow motion and review it and do all that stuff. I don't see anything different happening with this other than the fact that there are going to be certain plays in games where it never would usually have happened, and now it will. Because most corners, even the top corners, they grab, they armbar, they get away with a lot of stuff. Granted, the coaches only get a certain amount of challenges, and inside of 2 minutes, whatever, it comes from upstairs or on the field, the refs, whatever. But that's going to determine a lot of scores. It's going to determine a lot of outcomes. I'm not sure that everybody's happy about that because it's going to hurt some, especially those of us that are betting now. Betting has become so huge, and it's legal in mostly all the states. This could be a real huge factor because you have to think about it. If you're losing a game, right, and you just throw the ball up like whatever, like say it's like you're playing a video game, you just throw the ball up in the air, and for whatever reason the corner bumps the receiver or it looks like they got tangled up, that coach can throw the flag. You see what I'm saying? Like before, just be like, all right, it's over. You know what I'm saying? They didn't see it. Let's keep it moving. Now they can throw the flag if they feel that there was contact, and it goes for the other side too. Big body receivers like Mike Evans, Julio Jones, all these players that are like, you know, tit for tat, they're touching each other, like trying to slap each other's hands down. Where would it stop? Because now they have to determine if that grab, if that tap, if any contact was pass interference. I understand, dude, like the Saints lost the game that they probably would have won, right? They could have probably run the clock down even if they don't score, and then they get a field goal and they win the game, right? But this game went to overtime, and they lost in overtime. So even if it's such a bad call, it didn't determine the game. If Drew Brees and the Saints are that good, they should have won that game. But again, I still hear the argument all the time. Yeah, bro, but you don't got to do all that. Like, if they call the call on the field, it happened. We don't have to worry about scenarios. That's all well and good. But my point is they had overtime. So in overtime, you got to step up and get that win. That's ultimately how I feel. Now, getting back to the actual rule itself, let's look at coaching, right? Who's going to benefit most from these new the new rules and all the stuff that's going on? It's one name that's going to come to mind. Bill Belichick. He's going to bet. Everybody hates the Patriots. I had an argument with a guy the other day about, like, the dude is just spewing hate from his blood about the Patriots. Now, I don't care about the Patriots either way, but I respect greatness. And Belichick and Brady has done things that I've never, ever seen before. Like, okay, yeah, maybe he cheated with Bountygate, all kinds of gate. Spygate. It was all kinds of gates. I don't know. It don't really matter what kind of gate it was. Dudes were cheating out there. Deflategate. But again, even after all of that stuff was done, they still win Super Bowls. So when you look at this rule, he's going to make sure that his players are coached up to prevent this happening. Because remember, this doesn't apply to like defensive holding. It doesn't apply to anything else that's going on, except for inside the 2 minutes when they can actually, the refs can call out non-calls. But whatever those non-calls are going to be, we still have yet to be determined. You see what I'm saying? In my opinion, this is going to be a little bit more weird because if we don't actually see it when it happens, and a coach pulls something out of his hat, or a ref pulls something out of his hat and they find something that didn't really happen, or they throw a flag, it starts to become a little bit tedious because every part of the game itself is imperfect. So now you're trying to perfect an imperfect game where I just gave you an example of something that changed the history of the NFL in general. That game I will never, ever forget with that tuck rule because listen, man, that was a fumble. It doesn't matter. Like, Tom Brady is great. Would it have turned out to be the same? Would he have come back and been the starter? Like, a lot of things would have changed. Like, it would have been really, really wild if that doesn't go through and they don't ultimately win the Super Bowl. But again, that was made after review. So this doesn't really, put any faith into the fact that they're allowing it to be reviewed because there's still chances for error. That play where Edelman looked like he touched the ball on that punt, but then it looked like it bounced back. Like, I don't know if it really touched him, but the ball looked like it changed angles, bro. Like, I don't know. The game is just, it's not a perfect game. So if they lost this game, like say this pass interference happened, right? And they didn't go to overtime and they lost based on just not a non-call, I would understand the outrage. But they could have won the game in overtime. Because if they win the game in overtime, I don't think Sean Payton goes this hard. I don't think they go this wild. I don't think this rule gets instated. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm just trying to make you guys understand my point of view with it. I don't like more of computerized things getting involved with the game. If you miss a call, you miss a call. If this guy is blind that you see right there that's looking right at it, if he's so blind that he can't see it, all right, that's a guy that you hired that went through training. If you find after the fact that he didn't do the best that he could do, then I guess you replace him. But to make everything like, okay, I didn't see this, I didn't see that, but let me go to the review booth. You see what I'm saying? Like, you just take away the human element of the game. And it's happening to all sports. It did it in baseball, basketball, now it's football. But again, I think that with football, it's going to really, really hurt a lot of the way that they have contact interaction between the defensive backs and the wide receivers because it's always contact. When it's really, really bad, though, the refs, for the most part, get it right. But now, anything that looks suspicious can be called. And most of depending on the ref, these plays are going to be challenged and they're going to be changed. And it's going to change the outcomes of a lot of games. Similar to when you were sacking a quarterback and you can't land on him, and you saw what they did to Clay Matthews, like they made him a scapegoat when he wasn't even doing anything wrong, even with the rules. But you see what I'm saying? Like, there's always going to be a manipulation to it. I just don't like it. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I really just don't like it. I don't think that it should be something that's implemented because that was the first time I've ever seen a call that bad influence a game that much. And like I said, they were able to go to overtime. The Saints, if they were the real deal, should have still pulled it out, and it didn't work out like that. In my opinion, the ball never lies. It is what it is. I would love to hear your thoughts and your opinions about it, but if you're a Saints fan, try to hold back your rage. I'm going to see you guys and girls next time. One love.